Chip Zdarsky has been building up Failsafe and Zur&R and combining Failsafe and Zur&R and what started out at one point as the best new Batman villain I thought that they'd introduced in several years. We get a finality to that with Batman 148. What an absolute shit show all the way out into absolute power, Jim.
All the things that I liked in the Chip Zdarsky run so far end up being lame, and all the things I hated get pushed to the forefront as if they're the most important things, which I always hated. So it ends up, like you said, it's a shit. It's the storm is what it is. It's a shit storm is what it should have been called, because that's what it was. And it wasn't good.
I didn't realize we were getting to the end of the Failsafe Zur&R story arc. It just fucking happens because I think it had to happen.
And I think, again, it's all absolute power. You end up seeing some of the previous of that. You see the Failsafe robot with Amanda Waller. In my mind, I think that Chip Zdarsky, if he was planning it, had to have planned this for that 150. That would be the big deal. So you might be rushing at 2 issues of stuff in one, and it all feels like it just hits, but it just boom, 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 and in some ridiculous ways that just didn't play out as well, like you said, with Failsafe and things like that.
The biggest party foul, the biggest sin of Chip Zdarsky on Batman 148 and really his entire Batman run is wasting Jorge Jimenez's art. Because when Jorge Jimenez is doing this and there's lots of action, it looks fucking tremendous, even though the story behind all of it absolutely is garbage. Jorge Jimenez is the premier artist at DC Comics right now. He's on the premier book, and they do not give him a premier story to feature his art. So he does the best that he can, and he certainly makes it look good despite not reading very well. And that's the biggest sin, when you waste a great artist like this.
Usually what you'd say on a book, like, oh my God, this is the big book. Why don't you have a better artist? And in this, it's the opposite, and that's bad, especially for Batman. I mean, this is one of the premier books in comics, not just DC, obviously, but it's the flagship title, with the idea of not having a Justice League book as well right now. So when you do it and you're reading it and you're like, man, this looks great. It looks great. That's all I keep thinking, because as I'm reading, I'm like, yeah, this is not good. This is not good. And it's rushed. It doesn't make a ton of sense at points, and it just kind of falls flat, which is a shame because it looks incredible.
The action is always dynamic. The facial reactions to the things that are happening absolutely sell the stakes and everything involved. It's just unfortunate that Chip Zdarsky and his story couldn't actually keep up with the artist in play. I guess the big deal is, at some point, the Batman family basically just gave up on Batman. They turned their back on him after he returned from whatever pocket universe that Failsafe sent him into the last time. Failsafe took over the city, and he ends up mind wiping, I guess, Jason Todd in the process. That all happened in Gotham, where I believe that just terrible event. Only Damian went along with him. All of a sudden, a robot shows back up in Gotham saying that he's Batman, and the Batman family believed that it might have been Batman. In fact, Damian believed that it was Batman. And finally, Batman has come back and said, bring the family back together. We're going to go fight the robot. That clearly wasn't me the entire time, but somehow we're supposed to believe that all the great detectives that worked under Batman couldn't figure out that it wasn't Batman.
You have had this idea of a failsafe robot army that we never really got to see, but was controlling Gotham City. And then all of a sudden, Batman's a robot. And then this, and we're not really even getting a lot of what Gotham thinks about this. There's a lot of misplays here that make everything in this issue really feel like it has no weight to it. It doesn't really have any tension to it, because Batman says, hey guys, I'm Batman. I'm like, oh, thank God you're back. That's just what it is. But yet they thought he was not. Just, it's so ridiculous by the end of it just being pushed forward, and it makes the Bat family look like complete morons, is it basically my point here.
Absolutely, and they turned their back on him for a number of reasons. The biggest one being because he did mind wipe Jason Todd and altered his ability to even function as a human being, and he did turn his back on Damian Wayne and allowed him to be captured and all that stuff. None of it resolved. The way they resolved it, Jason's like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's move on. Yeah. And that's literally the way they resolved this big moment that was supposed to be a catalyst for big time change that happened in Gotham War. And they're like, do you have a plan? I'm Batman, aren't I? Of course I've got a plan. And this plan, so Failsafe, we've seen defeat the entire Batman family on his own, single-handedly. We saw him defeat the entire Justice League on his own, single-handedly. We saw him defeat Superman one-on-one in combat, single-handedly. Nothing can actually stop Failsafe. How are you actually going to be able to overcome Failsafe, especially now that you have the Zur-En-Arrh backup personality created by Grant Morrison that never should have been revisited ever in the history of comic books again, that is now implanted into this robot to make him even more dangerous. Zur-En-Arrh is Batman with no constraints to where he can kill criminals, but at the base of it, the programming of Failsafe, which is supposed to be there just in case Bruce Wayne ever killed somebody, even though he didn't kill Penguin, it was just a fake death, was that if you kill somebody or it kills somebody, it has to turn itself off. And that's the big plan he comes up with. Why didn't Batman think of this? I don't know. At the beginning of the fucking story, it doesn't seem like it was all that hard to come up with.
It's not that clever. It's what they ended up doing in Forever Evil, the event in the New 52 with Dick Grayson. He ends up dying for like a second. His heart stops. They bring it back. But technically, he has died. It's a RoboCop deal with, the parameters and the whole deal with that. And he uses that with Jason Todd. But Batman had given that whole deal of Jason Todd cannot get his adrenaline up. He ends up getting scared. So that was supposed to give him his life back. But it's more of a mind control type of deal, and it didn't work out. But that was already taken care of in the Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing, but now they bring it back, but we haven't had it, and then that's kind of the resolution here. But all of this is just shoved at you to get the idea of Batman having a plan. It's a 6-year-old's plan that he should have come up with months ago at the very beginning, that he's just going to have somebody die at the hands of Zur-En-Arrh.
The moment that it happens, I go, oh, Jason Todd's dead? I wonder why he's not really dead. It's not alluded to in the story. They never actually talk about or even insinuate how this was going to happen. So they had to go in after the fact for another page or two to explain to you that Bruce and Jason were going through the caves and they found some extra, meteorite stuff from the Gotham War story. And they're just going to inject a bunch of it into Jason Todd as soon as he dies to bring him back again, as if using the Lazarus pits and all that stuff has no long-lasting damaging effects on people and resurrection.
Yeah, and the way they get out of it, I love the idea, because it's the meteorite that fell during Gotham War that ended up having a type of Lazarus fluid. That doesn't make sense, but they use that because at the moment the Lazarus pits are wonky and having problems. So instead, we have that trope of a meteorite coming. That was already bullcrap from that, and they're going to use that. But like you said, nothing was set up, and there's nothing worse than reading a story, not knowing what's going on, and then realizing it was never set up, that you're going to get a flashback after the fact to show you, oh, that's what this was about. Not a clever flashback that, oh, what we saw was something different. No, just straight up, this was the plan, to then have him come back. And the whole pacing of it, the whole idea of, oh my God, Jason Todd's dead. No, you didn't even have time to even process that. But even when they're down doing this plan, the flashback, Jason Todd and Bruce have not been on real good speaking terms for quite some time. And this looks like what Chip Zdarsky's doing is trying to make that better, but you can't do it just like this. This doesn't have weight to it. It doesn't feel right. And so at the end, you just have a hokey way of getting rid of Zur-En-Arrh Failsafe.
Well, we know we didn't get rid of Zur-En-Arrh Failsafe.
Well, we got rid of Yeah.
We saw Amanda Waller coming into the city to back up the Bat family because Vandal Savage is the fucking commissioner of Gotham. Yeah. Get out of here.
Another nonsense bit. And that was so hokey. Again, out of Gotham War into these regular things. And at one point he wasn't. Then they made him that. I mean, I don't know. Gotham doesn't deserve anybody, let alone Batman. He should just pack up and move the family to like Central City or something, because it's bullshit there. Everybody is like, they have dignitaries coming in and hanging people. They have Vandal Savage as the commissioner. And so all that going, I think that basically at the end, what Chip Zdarsky needed to do for Absolute Power is it doesn't look like Zur-En-Arrh will be part. It'll just be the fail-safe robot again by itself to then join Amanda Waller is what it seems to be. And that kind of is the way to get rid of Zur-En-Arrh for now. It's just odd the way it ends.
The biggest thing that didn't seem right to me, I did not like Batman the Night, that prequel story that Chip Zdarsky did. I thought it sucked. He's been trying to make Daniel Capio, the guy that taught Bruce Wayne and Joker how to segment off and partition their personalities to have backups of their backups and where Zur-En-Arrh came from, because he had to explain and tie himself into fucking Grant Morrison's Batman run for reasons I'll never know. And every time he tries to do something new to get Daniel Capio, his original creation, over, as some type of menacing villain. It gets worse and worse. I thought he was dead. I was happy when he was dead, when Joker killed him. Turns out he's not dead. He's actually working with the Joker. And now he's running Arkham Asylum and prisons and all this kind of stuff. And he's going to fight Jason Todd. He's like, you think I've only worked on the mind? I used the mind to unlock my body, and now I can fight against Jason Todd one-on-one, even though he's never fought anybody. You know, we've seen the character quite a bit up until this point. Now all of a sudden he's a badass too.
I like Batman the Knight to a point, but it really was just to push. I hate when it's like, oh, you've read this story a million times, but I'm going to tell it again with this twist. And his twist ends up really being Capio, that by the end of this, what really gets me is even when Bruce says, my mentor, it's really pushed almost now as like Capio is the be all end all, nothing of all the other mentors before. It's this guy. And like you said, the idea where in my mind, he was this thinking man, like adding this whole idea that he can stand toe to toe with Jason Todd is just ridiculous. It ends up where it does feel like you're just adding things up. And you said even, you know, pushing him over and doing that whole deal. It feels like when you're watching wrestling and there's somebody that you know sucks, they're the worst, but they keep pushing and pushing and pushing and it doesn't work. That's what this keeps feeling like. He's not getting over. He's not
Batman comics.
Yeah. And so you just end up by the end, you're like, come on now, like, no, don't keep. And the idea that it is his own character, something that out of the blue, he ended up doing this. What Chip Zdarsky has done a lot in this run is try to explain things that didn't need explaining. The Zor-Anar stuff, all that. You didn't need to go further into how it became that and why this and that. It wasn't clever. It wasn't expanding on it. It was just making something, like you said, that should have just been left by itself a bit. I don't mind a little Zor-Anar popping up, but whatever. But this whole thing and Capio being involved, it just ended up, it was too much. And by the end, you see, maybe because it was rushed, but you see that there really wasn't much to it. And then Capio, because he wants to give that last push, all of a sudden he's like, it's the idea of almost like you have somebody sword fighting and then say, hey, by the way, I'm left-handed. And then they, switch hands, stupid.
Damn you to ever say anything bad about the Princess Bride.
Well, that's what I'm not saying that's bad. No, that's awesome. I'm saying in this, though, they're aping. Again, it's aping something. Everything in this run has been a lesser version in my mind of the original. And that is not good. You go from shrugs to hugs. When you have something that doesn't make any sense, throw in a hug with one of the characters. Joshua Williamson's doing it all the time in that Green Arrow book. Everybody's hugging because it's supposed to make everything better, and it doesn't. It's nonsense. So,
speaking of nonsense and things that don't make any sense, in the last issue, we had Damian Wayne finally realize the robot Batman was not, in fact, his biological father. Shocked it took him that long, but he finally figured it out. He wasn't going to go along with Zor-Anar's plan anymore. And all of a sudden, there was another Robin there that looked human. I was like, is this a fucking cyborg? Where did this thing come from? It must be a robot. He's creating other robots and stuff. We finally get the explanation in here. It's a clone of Bruce Wayne? Are you fucking with me?
You already said that it was bullshit, and I said it too, where you're going to have a plan. Oh, we're going to show a flashback that sets this up. This is out of nowhere, and you don't even get anything. And even as you're going through the issue, it seems as if Chip Zdarsky thinks it's obvious and is not saying. I ended up getting in arguments with people of, is this a mind-controlled Damian? Is this a Damian robot? Is this a Tim Drake robot? Because it looked a little different. And then at the end, it's a clone of Bruce Wayne to be Robin, which makes sense of who he would trust when they say it, but it doesn't make sense in the story of ever knowing that any of this was like, show something, show that Damian at points is like, what's going on in that tube? You're doing experiments. Don't look at that, son. Like, even that would have been a setup to it. No setup at all. And then it's boom, because again, it feels like a idea that Chip Zdarsky thought was clever, but never set it up or did anything with it to just hit you with it. And then we're left with that. It just is so odd.
If Zor-Anar and Daniel Capio could clone Bruce Wayne and fully gestate him into being a teenager in a matter of days, apparently, why wouldn't they have just made a bunch of them?
An army.
Bruce Wayne's pretty fucking formidable. What if you had 20 of them? Why'd you only create one?
Yeah.
Dumbass.
Yeah. And if you're going to do the thing, and if we're going to go with the play of, okay, he wants a Robin, fine. But just make Batman. If you
Batman's
could
got
actually
20
clone-
Robins.
Yeah. Like you could just have like an army of.
He could have made a
Batmans
Bruce Wayne
and
body and
Robins.
threw in his mind in there.
Something like that. He could actually say, and that would be a better progression. He could have actually said, I don't want to be this stupid robot, even though that will live on forever, but I'll just keep. And that's, again, I said when we reviewed it before, the idea of a Scott Snyder Genesis program, the idea of having clones of Batman through the ages. Why wouldn't Zornar be setting this up so that he could be that throughout and this would be the deal? But it just ended up out of nowhere to be a cool moment. And it is a cool concept, but it doesn't play out well on the page. It ends up just everything gets shoved at you and you never have any time to really react. And when I said that I think he thought this was obvious, it's almost mentioned in a side like, oh, yeah, we're fighting. I'm Bruce Wayne's clone. Oh, what? Like at that point, you'd already had the character on page for a bit and then says, like, what the hell happened here? I didn't even understand.
This is why I feel like a dumbass every single time I buy into any of these new concepts. I buy into the fucking failsafe robot. Oh, cool. He looks very formidable, probably overpowered. I want to see this play out. I always get burned at the end, Jim. They always fuck it up with these stupid concepts. And we got to elevate Daniel Capio. We got to throw Zdarsky on top of it. We got to get a fucking clone Bruce Wayne in on this and then wrap it up in no time whatsoever. Never actually fully flesh out the reasons why the Bat family would want to go back to him and all this stuff. You create all this conflict and then you just end it because we got to go to absolute power. Yep, that's it. Yeah. And again, absolute power, the big summer event, but Batman, the big book, this, you can't let this happen. You can't end up rushing stories. You can't have half-ass efforts here going on. The art's great, but the story has had its ups and downs. But also I say that absolute power is one thing, but this got derailed so many other times, and even Chip Zdarsky derailing it with Joker Year One, the Gotham War. It's not the premier book. It's not what it should be. Night Terrors ended up, really being a roadblock or a speed bump to everything that was the, whole big deal. That a lot of books ended up getting derailed by that, but they can't get out of their way. They keep ruining it for themselves, but also you got to time these things out better. You got to tell better stories. So me personally, the art is very, very good. Like really high end. We're pushing like almost perfect art, despite the story sucking. So I will give it a 2.5 out of 5, like a 5 out of 10. Failing grade for me. Do not recommend. And I'm going to give it, I always go by the 10. So I will stress this as out of 10. I am a 4.5 out of 10. Overall, you're saying I'm being too nice. Well, I could go down to a 4 even, and all of that is art. As a joke, I'll say the art is a 5, the story's a -1. So I get to like a 4.5 because it's actually, at points is actually embarrassing how this is supposed to be. This is the roundup. This is the end of his full-out run. This has been one long story, and to end like this in a way that felt rushed and forced it's a shame, but I can't say it's a shame. It shouldn't happen. Certainly, it's the flagship title at DC Comics. It's the most important comic book that they produce on a monthly basis. We do lots of stuff over there on the Patreon, Jim and I, specifically the Hot or Not podcast. If you haven't checked that one out, there's a link in the video description. If you want more Jim and I explaining comic books and telling you what's great and what's bad, we do it every single Thursday.